Good morning and welcome. We're really excited to learn about your background in clinical trial safety surveillance and pharmacovigilance. To begin, could you give us a high-level overview of your experience related to safety monitoring in clinical trials?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I've worked extensively in safety surveillance across various phases of clinical trials. My experience includes medical review of case report forms, lab and vital signs monitoring, adverse event investigation and reporting, signal detection, and responding to regulatory requirements. I also liaise with study leads and investigators to communicate safety concerns, and I stay current with ICH, FDA, and EMA regulations.
Great. One of the key responsibilities for this role is the timely assessment of reported clinical trial data, including labs, vitals, cardiac data, etc. Can you walk me through how you typically approach this?
Certainly, I begin with a structured review of the patient level data, lab trends, ECGs, medications, and vitals, within the context of the protocol and known drug profile. I look for abnormalities or trends that could suggest a safety issue. I use clinical judgment and sponsor guidelines to flag significant findings and escalate them to the study lead. It's important to not only assess individual findings, but also look for cumulative patterns across patients.
Can you elaborate on how you identify potential study-level trends and ensure that safety data is compliant with regulatory expectations?
I rely on data listings and visual summaries, such as line listings and frequency tables, to spot recurring adverse events or anomalies. I compare data points to protocol-defined normal ranges, and I monitor events across demographic subgroups. My goal is to ensure the consistency of AE coding, causality, and severity. I also verify that the AE reporting aligns with regulatory guidance, such as the FDA's IND safety reporting rule or EMA GVP modules. If anything's unusual, I raise it during internal safety reviews or signal detection meetings.
We value strong communication with investigators. How do you handle safety-related queries, especially when clinical judgment is involved?
I aim to be clear, respectful, and informative in queries. For instance, if there's a discrepancy in AE onset or a potential unreported SAE, I draft a query that provides context and references protocol expectations or regulatory definitions. I've found that building rapport with site personnel and being responsive helps maintain a collaborative tone and ensures accurate data.
How do you stay up to date with ICH, FDA, and EMA guidance, and how do you apply these in your daily work?
I subscribe to newsletters from regulatory bodies and participate in professional training programs and webinars. I also regularly consult UDRELEX and ICH E2A, E2F guidelines. In my work, I ensure that all AE, SAE documentation, queries, and safety narratives are compliant with these standards. For example, I ensure that timelines for SUSARs are met and that CRFs capture required minimum criteria per GVP guidelines.
Tell us about your experience conducting medical review of CRFs and handling quality assurance of data listings.
I review CRFs to ensure the medical content is accurate, complete, and matches source documentation. I look for inconsistencies in AE start-stop dates, dosing timelines, concomitant meds, and outcomes. For QA, I cross-check data listings against raw data and narratives, identify missing or duplicated entries, and ensure proper coding. This supports data integrity before database lock and regulatory submissions.
This role may include coordinating with regional CRAs and managing study files and budgets. Have you had exposure to these responsibilities?
Yes, in my previous role, I supervised regional CRAs to ensure consistency in safety reporting and training. I also maintained study master files, tracked safety document submissions, and collaborated with finance teams on budget forecasting for safety related activities like SAE reconciliation and follow up testing.
Part of this role includes writing custom responses to complex medical inquiries. Can you give an example of such a scenario?
Sure. I once handled a physician's inquiry regarding off label use of an investigational drug in a population with renal impairment. The inquiry required a deep dive into clinical trial data, safety profiles, and non clinical studies. I collaborated with medical affairs to draft a balanced response that acknowledged the off label nature while providing available safety evidence and risk mitigation considerations. This was then reviewed and approved through our medical information team.
Have you provided training to internal teams or at investigator meetings on safety-related topics?
Yes, I've led training sessions on SAE definitions, MEDRA coding, CRF completion, and narrative writing. At investigator meetings, I presented on safety reporting requirements and best practices for SAE documentation. These sessions help reduce data queries and ensure consistency across sites.
Finally, can you speak to your experience with study summaries, investigator brochures, or IND annual safety updates?
Absolutely. I've drafted and reviewed study safety summaries for CSR submissions, ensuring that all safety data were accurately represented. I've also contributed to investigator brochures by summarizing cumulative safety findings and updating tables of AEs by system organ class. For IND annual updates, I worked with regulatory and clinical teams to collate and analyze cumulative AE data, ensuring the inclusion of newly identified risks and changes in benefit risk profile.
Thank you for the detailed responses. It's clear you bring a wealth of experience in clinical safety. Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, I'd love to hear how your organization supports cross functional safety review boards and the tools you use for safety data visualization and trend tracking.
Great question. We use tools for data visualization and have a cross-functional drug safety board that meets monthly. We'll cover more in the next round. Thank you again.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.